Let's talk about moving to Florida with your pet. There's some things that you definitely want to know about if you're coming from a colder climate and moving to a warm climate like Florida, or hot climate when it comes to summer. One of the first things that you'll want to do is make sure that your dog has seen a veterinarian, unless you're somebody who just don't want to take your dog to the vet for whatever reason. We take our dog to the vet, and I know one of the laws is that you have to have a rabies shot every 3 years. At least it's that way in Florida. I don't know about other states. Some of the things that you want to know about when coming down here is it can get very hot. And your dog can get very hot, especially if it's a dog that's got a lot of fur and is used to colder climate. You might want to get a kiddie pool, hose your dog down, put ice in its water, whatever, to keep the dog cool, or try to keep him inside unless it's early morning or later in the evening when it cools off in the summer. Just got to make sure they don't overheat, so however it is that you want to do it. But the thing is, you have to be careful about letting your dog just go into any pond, river, lake, stream, swamp. You don't want to do that because we do have alligators in many of our freshwater areas. When we lived in Ohio on 10 acres, it was easy, to stand by our ponds in our backyard. We had 2 ponds, went fishing. And this goes for your little kids too, if you have any. Don't let them alone. Don't go near the ponds. Unfortunately, I'm sure heard the story in Orlando where the family was at a hotel and there was a lake in the back and they were all waiting for the movie night that they were having, and their little boy unfortunately was near the water and alligator took him. He died. So this kind of goes for your children too. Don't let them play outside alone ever, because besides the waterways there's other animals. Just like back in Ohio, we had bear and coyote and red fox when I was in the country. So same down here, you've got your alligators, you've got bobcats, you have coyote, you have fox, bear. So depending on where you live exactly in Florida. One of the things that we do have is the heartworm prevention for Cookie, because heartworm can be spread through mosquitoes. So you don't want your dog to get that. And if you're taking your dog out for a walk in the evening, we don't have too much trouble with the mosquitoes. We try to go out when the mosquitoes aren't most active. But even then, it just takes one mosquito to cause some trouble. I don't mean to scare you about your pets down here. It's just if you're prepared, everything will be just fine. But if you don't know about these things, it could be a danger to your pet and to you. It's why I thought I'd better make a video on the pets, because I don't think I've made one. Also down here in Florida, there's different types of fleas, and they can carry tapeworm. And if one of these fleas is carrying tapeworm and your dog ingests it, well, you got another problem there. I would highly recommend that you keep your dog on a leash at all times when walking your dog, small or big. Well, I think it's the law, unless you're living in the country somewhere. But if you have a backyard, I still don't recommend that you just let your dog run loose unless you're standing there, especially if it's a small dog. But even big dogs, keep your eye on your dogs, but especially small dogs, because some animal can just come and snatch them. We do have poisonous snakes here. The poisonous snakes that we do have, and I don't know exactly where in Florida they are. They could be in different areas. You got your rattlesnake, you got your coral snakes, and we have seen coral snakes down here. And then you have cottonmouth, and on rare occasion, there's copperheads. I personally haven't seen a copperhead. I see plenty of those black snakes that are not poisonous, but there are poisonous snakes out here that you should be aware of. Letting your dog loose into the woods is probably not the best idea. Not to mention the armadillos, you got the raccoons, fox, and they carry rabies. That's why it's so important to make sure you have your dogs, besides being the law, have the rabies shot. I do my best to kind of stay out of the woods because of the different things that you can run into that can be harmful to your pet, especially again if it's a smaller pet. The other vaccine that you can get for your pet is for Leptospirosis. I hope I'm saying that right. This can be fatal to your dog, and it can be fatal to humans. So it's up to you if you want to get the vaccine for this, but Again, something you could discuss with your veterinarian and do your own research. But the dog can get this from raccoons, possums, skunks, pigs, cow, sheep. When I walk Cookie, I personally carry a stick with me and whatever else that makes me feel safe when walking, because I did have an experience where one of the neighbors let their dog loose. They were letting him out to pee at night. And that's the thing, at night you don't want to let your dog out unless on the leash or in the backyard and you're out there, because that's when the wildlife really comes into action. Let me tell you about Cookie. I'm sure I've told you the story, but I was walking just right here on the sidewalk in the suburbs. One of the neighbors let their dog out and it ran across the street right at us. I thought it was going to kill me. And that's the day I didn't have a stick or anything on me, because I was literally in front of my house with lights on, right on my sidewalk. And this dog came running across. I was like, holy moly, and I picked Cookie up, and the dog was just like, just like, the teeth and everything. And all I can remember was that one of the National Geographic shows I watched, when they say when you see bear, and they lift the arms up to scare. So I was like stomping my feet and lifting my arms up over my head and screaming at it. I don't know what I said, back off, and I was screaming with the deepest, lowest, strongest voice I could muster up, and I was stomping my foot on the sidewalk, and I scared the dog, believe it or not, and it just like backed up and it started just eating the grass in front of me, and then it walked away. But that was scary. I never walked again without being ready and prepared. When I first moved to those apartments in Sarasota, I was walking Cookie, and a couple of guys had let their two dogs come, and they were like jumping on me. Thankfully, they didn't want to bite, I don't think, but I was holding Cookie up high. I think they were trying to get the Cookie, and Cookie was freaking out. He nearly bit my face. Thankfully, he didn't, but he was just like so scared. So it's just something to think about. There's other dogs that aren't kept on leashes, so you have to be prepared for that. But I would imagine that happens in other places. I lived in the country for 10 years, so I didn't have any issues with other people and their dogs. It's like picking up your dog poop. When you're in the suburbs or you're in the city, you got to pick up your dog poop, and people don't do it. That's the other thing. The first night at my apartment, I had stepped in a big cow amount of poop. So it must have been some big dog. I threw out my shoes. Thankfully they were old, but it was just horrible. It was like up to my ankles. I had just stepped one foot into the grass, but you're supposed to pick that stuff up. So please do that. Enough of the bad negative talking about all the bad things that can happen. The thing you will like about Florida regarding your pets is it's super pet friendly. People take their dogs to dog parks. There's dog beaches. You have to keep them on a leash on the beach. The dog parks, they have a fence, so I think you could just let them run loose. And a lot of people take their dogs shopping. Definitely Home Depot, Lowe's, those kind of stores. As long as the dog's behaved, they put a little dog bed or something soft, and they put their dog in the shopping cart, and off they go. I don't think you're supposed to take your dog into like a grocery store, but I've seen small ones in there. People don't complain as long as the dog's not barking and he's just lying there, not causing any trouble. And same with eating out. A lot of the restaurants have tables where you could sit outside, and most places don't care if you have a little pet that's just sitting there not causing any trouble. There's pet stores everywhere. As long as you have a veterinarian, and if you know where the animal hospital is, if there's an emergency, you should have that like in your phone, know exactly where it is, just in case something happens to your dog. Keep up with whatever vaccinations, at least the ones that are mandatory. Of course, don't forget to get a tag when you move down here for your dog. You get that through your veterinarian as well. They've got the paperwork, and you could pay them and they'll take care of it. Another great thing is there's a lot of mobile dog businesses where they can come to your home in their van and wash your dog and trim them and cut their nails, and even veterinarians will come to your driveway in their van. So there's a lot of options for your pets. It's pretty cool. And of course, there's plenty of places that will walk your dog, babysit your dog. So I just wanted to cover this. I just didn't want you coming down here letting your dog go out in the backyard by himself and then he's gone. So take care of your dogs and just keep an eye on them. And same with your kids. I know this is about the pets, but small kids, same thing. You know, don't go near lakes, ponds, rivers, streams, canals. I know people do. I know people that live down here, they go swimming in it, but I wouldn't personally. So that's up to you and what risk you're willing to take. I hope this has helped a little bit. Thumbs up if you like. Please share. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to live a passionate life.